Welcome to The Cavern, echoes of oddities, curiosities, and history. I'm your curator, Jared, and today we'll be talking about the study and preservation of the horseshoe crab. It wasn't meant to happen like this. I brought the specimen as a dry specimen to display and show its beauty from both sides. We have the book gills, the legs, the mouth, we had all of that intact. Though unfortunately, not long into me having it, there were signs of early decay, and there was a fishy smell. Now, within further investigation of the horseshoe crab, I was able to identify it was split on the back, within its insides were carved out. Unfortunately, they did not do a proper job, and if they were to do a bit more research when dissection happened, they would have found that the inner meat of the horseshoe crab was not all dissected properly. Unfortunately, I had to cut back the string holding its legs and tail together, which then I was able to identify that on the back half of the horseshoe crab, there was a whole lot of decay and matter built up on the inside. I was able to scoop all that out and determine that the likely cause was still in there, and I was then having to perform a dissection. Now, in investigation deeper into the horseshoe crab, and continuing the dissection, I was then able to remove the left and right book gills, which then identified the smell. Turns out the book gills are soft tissue used like lungs to breathe when the horseshoe crab is on land or in sea. Now, within further investigation, I went and gave the horseshoe crab a wash in the bathtub. A lot of sand and other living organisms washed out from the inside. I then took a further look into the front of the horseshoe crab, and I was able to identify it had the same problem. So unfortunately, I had to then dissect the front section of the horseshoe crab, and I was able to identify more living organisms and a lot more sand. Unfortunately, I had to do the full dissection at that point. I had to buy non-scented soap, I had to buy isopropyl alcohol, I also had to buy some ethylene. Now, what will I need ethylene for, you may be thinking? Ethylene, 70% of ethylene is used in the preservation method to create a wet specimen. Now, a wet specimen is part of an animal, a human, an organism in a jar. You fill it up with 70% of ethylene, and that helps preserve it long term. Now, within preserving it long term, I'm able to keep it up here in the cupboard, which I'll show you in just a second. Within doing that, I was able to identify the discoloration of the wet specimen. It turned to a yellow, golden, brown color, and I was able to identify the flakes and organisms dying off the specimen and floating to the bottom of the glass, which then I was able to identify it needed a re-change. So the book gills both have had 2 changes each, and the mouth and the claws have not had the second change as of yet. They will get a change later in the week. I am holding it off a little bit longer to breathe out the discoloration and the organisms from the inside. When I gave them the wash again, they were once again very sandy. I had them kept in the fridge for a few days before the ethanol arrived. Now, at first I only brought 3 bottles. It turns out that was not enough. After that, I ordered another 3 bottles, and that turned out just enough. I then had to go looking for jars with silicone rim to the bottom where the air can hopefully not escape, so airtight. Now, these aren't fully airtight as there's a slight smell of ethanol as there would be, so I'm going to wrap a bit of plumber's tape around the lids to hold them in. This one here is the left book gill. Now, with further inspection to the left book gill, I was able to identify about 3 down there was a bit of fishing line inside its gills. Likely determined it was hunted for its meat, either for the Asian market or for the fishing industry. Now, horseshoe crabs for many years have been used to hunt fish, sharks, and other sea creatures. Now, in the Asian side of things, a lot of the Asian culture likes to eat horseshoe crab meat. though I have heard it is not a good flavour, and in the past people have been poisoned by horseshoe crabs. This is the left one. Let me show you the right one. Now, very similar to the left one, but this one had no fishing line in it. Now, the way I'm still able to identify the left from the right, I've kept the sticker on the bottom of the glass just to identify the left and right. And as I was saying before about the plumber's type, it's going to wrap it around here just to keep it a bit more air sealed. Now, these are a good sized bookgill. The horseshoe crab was above average. Able to get a larger specimen, which I was very glad about. Unfortunately, the dissection happened. But beautiful specimens. Bookgills are very lovely to look at. Very fascinating to have too. If you get a closer up look here. This one here. This is the claws and the mouth. Now, horseshoe crabs don't just eat the food, they grind it up with their teeth, shoving it inside. Now, if we get a close-up here, sorry about the glare, we can see we've got the mouth right in here, we've got the claws all around here, big nippers. Those two up here identify as male, as they use them to cling on to the female during the mating season. Now, if we give it a turn, we're able to see the insides, where all the legs and stuff meet the inner shell. Now, this one here is the head of the horseshoe crab. It was connected to the rest of the body. As you can tell, it is quite the large size. Now, this is the bottom side after the dissection and cleaning. I used isopropyl alcohol to spray and disinfect the shell of the horseshoe crab. I had to use a knife. I used my Leatherman to crack the shell and cut the soft tissue out. So then I was able to scrape out the inside, use a wire brush, get right in there, and then use a toothbrush for a softer clean and finish. Now, you can see all that. This right here is the back half. This is where the smell was mainly coming from. Now, there is still a slight smell, but that is almost impossible to clean out all living organisms from the insides of these spines here. So I do still constantly spray it with isopropyl alcohol, maybe once a week to try and kill the bacteria, but there's less of a smell now and nothing too much to worry about. I just keep monitoring it and making sure nothing else happens. Now we can see where there was a bridge across here of shell. There was all muscle and living organisms keeping the tail down. I had to then crack the shell, take that off and clean out the muscles and the other interior of the horseshoe crab. But it does make for a beautiful display piece nonetheless. There are the gorgeous spines along here, very sharp. This long thing here is its tail. Now you can see here, it had all the muscle and tendons and other ligaments all along here, connecting it to the bottom of the back half. Now that was able to then twist and turn up like that, so there was a lot of heavy tendons holding that in place. It took me quite a while to remove the tail and clean out as much as I can from the inside. It has spines running down its tail. Tail's not too spiky. Now here is a close-up of how it is roughly displayed for now. Now the way I've displayed it won't be like this for good. I'll change it up a bit, but just for now I've kept it like this. There is a book about horseshoe crab, velvet worms and other animals. That is by Richard Fortley. Sorry if I got the name wrong. This piece right here of the horseshoe crab, that was on the underside of the shell. I did get stabbed in the hand with that. But the two bookgills here, the left and right, the claws, the mouth, and the other stuff right there, the head of the shell, the back, and the tail running along there. That is a quick look at the rest of that shelf here as well. Thank you for visiting the cavern. Echoes of oddities, curiosities, and history. I was your curator, Jared, and remember, until next time, stay curious.